Don't get married. Find out more on modern medicine.
This is Modern Medicine.
Welcome to the Modern Medicine Podcast. I'm John Doherty with the Medical Society of the County of Albany. It's great to have you on board, and this is our first podcast that we've done for a while, but hopefully we're going to be doing many more and posting them on the website at www.albmed.org. Our guest today is Dr. Anthony Ferraioli. He's a psychiatrist in private practice, author, great guy, lives in my neighborhood, so you know he's a class act. Welcome, Dr. Ferraioli. How are you?
Thank you, John. I'm doing good. I have a nice Irish name, Ferraioli.
Okay. I can't top that one. So I did forget to mention, though, we have to thank the physicians like you, who are members of the Medical Society, for making this podcast possible. And also, as you recall from our days on WROW, we have the music of the musical group Rare Earth that they gave us permission to use for the podcast, so
nice.
Let a shout out to them.
Nice.
Anyway, Dr. Ferraioli has, like I said, he's published a number of books, and he's come out with a new book called, interestingly enough, Don't Get Married Unless You Understand a Few Things First. Tell us a little bit about the book.
That's right, John. It's called Don't Get Married Unless You Understand a Few Things First. And really, it's funny because the irony of the title is that I really do want you to go ahead and get married. And if you're already married, I want you to read it and work on things in your marriage with this book. So when I say don't get married, what I'm trying to do is try to really get people to understand that we usually marry under completely wrong assumptions. And I'm trying to help people understand that, look, if you're going to do this, if you're going to enter this marital arrangement, you really should know what you're in for. One of the key concepts that I'd like to elucidate in our bit of time together is this idea of true love, quotations, if you could see me, you'd see me doing this with my fingers, quotes. Or another term I like is soulmate, quote unquote. These are indicative of really of idealization. It's kind of what we do when we first meet somebody, and it's a honeymoon period. It's very nice. It lasts, anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of few years. After which, what starts happening is we really start getting disappointed by the person we're with, and these disappointments may be major disappointments, big things. We find out the person is, cheating or doing crazy things with money or drugs or alcohol, or they may be small disappointments, such as just they really don't seem to listen like they used to in the good old days when we first met. Or they comment an awful lot when we talk to them, or they really don't talk to us much at all. And so those little disappointments and others, there's myriad of these small disappointments that add up. They all taken together lead to this. We go from this idealization phase down to what we might call a sort of a devaluing phase. Now we're with a person who can't do anything right at all. Now this is where the resentments build up, eventually potentially contempt as well. And this is where a lot of couples slide down the slippery road towards divorce. So I propose in this book a new model, which I call the emotional laboratory of marriage. And what this means, very simply, is this. It means that if I am going to get married, I have to view my spouse as well as the marriage as an emotional laboratory for me and for my growth. They, in turn, meaning my spouse, has to view a marital agreement with me or a marriage with me as the same thing. It's actually about them. So I become their marital laboratory or emotional laboratory, and they become mine. So with this in mind, now we have a model in which marriage becomes the ultimate tool for self-realization and individual growth.
Can you give an example of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to. So take for example the idea of, okay, if I have something I really want to tell my wife about, let's say I'm feeling insecure at the workplace. Let's say that. But, you know, having been with her now for however long, I would say to myself, well, and again, this isn't actually based in truth with my wife and I at this particular example, although I'd be happy to give you other types of examples. But this one, you know, I might censor myself too soon. I might say, you know what, let me not bother her with that. Or I might feel shame about sharing that kind of information where I don't feel on my game, or I don't feel secure. And I may not want to share that with her because I want her to not be disappointed in me or mad at me or something like that. And so what the emotional laboratory says to do is, okay, I'm in this marriage. This is about taking risks. It's about my personal growth. So then I have to ask myself, what would I normally not do now? Well, I would not talk to her about this topic because it's charged. It's a risky topic for me. So the emotional laboratory says that's exactly the opposite. You must now do the opposite of what you normally would do. So yes, you take a risk and you talk to her about that very thing.
Oh, it's about you becoming a lawyer? Is that what
it's about? Me becoming a lawyer. Yeah, I'm giving up medical practice now and all that.
There you go.
You know, in fact, it's funny. In a larger example, a bigger example of this, and in the current media, I won't necessarily name names, but there are certain famous golfers who have gone astray from their spouses.
Imagine that.
You know, again, but I'm not one to bring drag names through the mud, although they're public figures. But you know, the idea is, you know, what if I'm a man and I'm about to have an affair, or I'm tempted to have an affair, what would I never really do in terms of that? What would the biggest, riskiest thing for me be? It would probably be to go to my wife and say, honey, I'm tempted to have an affair. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done anything. But I just want you to know that something's wrong and I need help. See, in other words, I need help from you. We need to hold on to each other for dear life here and work through what this disconnect is in our marriage. And that's exactly what does not happen in the world. Because what happens instead is we don't use marriage like an emotional laboratory to take risks and to grow. We just act it.
Isn't there a certain amount of narcissism, though, in that as well?
I think so. I think, and you know, I think one of the fundamental dynamics when we talk about narcissism is it's really a fragility. It's the person not feeling secure and settled and connected. So really, the behaviors that we see in terms of affairs and things like this have a lot to do with narcissism in that respect. In terms of the person really doesn't feel connected, they may not really know how to do that.